All right, guys, let's start this segment by opening up a page from Payne's Investment Playbook. Now, on Friday, my friend Rick Newman at Yahoo, he wrote a real interesting article titled American Workers Losing Their Hustle. I got to say, he is spot on. What happened to hustle, guys? I'm not talking about the dance. I'm talking about the drive. You know, hustle, to make strenuous effort to obtain especially money or business. Now, in my old neighborhood in Harlem, we used to call it scrambling, right? Working more than one job to make more money. And I got to admit, I love people who did that. I admired the woman. There was a woman who worked at a metal fabrication company. She would come home, and then she would sell homemade French fries out of the first floor window. Then there was a guy who worked at the post office, and as he made his rounds, he also booked the numbers. I know it was illegal, but I admired the guy. Now, there's been a huge effort in recent years to get Americans to stop hustling. These days, they call it work-life balance. And of course, Hollywood, I don't know, they've been on this thing for a long time, right? From The Man in a Gray Flannel Suit to more recently in the movie Click. Now, in Click, in case you didn't see it, the main character is a workaholic. He misses all the great things in life as his family suffers. Now, here's the irony of it all, of course. Adam Sandler's the star of the movie. He's also the producer of the movie. Happy Gilmore has played a big role in that. Guess what? He's the founder of Happy Gilmore. So, you know, I got to tell you, it's just kind of nuts. Now, currently, the hype is that we have so many ways for people to scramble, from technology to social networks, that everybody's got more than one iron in the fire. But I got to tell you something, sadly, it's not true. Fewer people are working more than one job now. Take a look at this. In 1995, it was almost 8 million people, over 6% of the workforce. Right now, less than 7 million people and only 4.7% of the workforce. Guys, I don't know what happened to this good old-fashioned scrambling, you know, because I loved it. So it does bring us to our next real deal. Think about this. Wages are lower, right? You know, people who lost their jobs and regained their jobs in this Great Recession, they're still making a lot less. It would seem logical to me that people would be working multiple jobs. So Hillary, so many people aren't, you know, what's going on?
There's a number of factors. First of all, unemployment benefits have made these long-term unemployment benefits, they've made a lot of people lazy and have stopped the culture of ambition, right, and entrepreneurship. And then you have the double whammy, which is it's not so easy just to go become an entrepreneuring, hustling person.
It's easier. Are you kidding me?
Well,
it's
because
easier.
There's so much scale out there, right? You don't just have a neighborhood restaurant you can go work for today. Now you would have to go work for a big chain. You can't just start a little hardware store or start doing construction. Everything has become massive size. So it's a double whammy.
People that are selling stuff on eBay and not leaving the couch. Like, I have a friend who just looks around her house and decides what she's going to get rid of.
Okay, so maybe, wait a second. So maybe she's not paying taxes. Maybe it's a cash culture now.
It's not. It comes down to, unfortunately, we've talked about this on the show before, welfare, as she mentioned, extended unemployment benefits. We keep handing out and we keep promising that if you just wait it out, we're going to help you out. And that's part of the problem.
I also think it's a take what you can get economy. I mean, people are working harder for less pay and more hours. And so I think that is what's going on too. People feel like they're working more, they're working more.
They are, but
they're not getting it.
To my point, then, if that's the case, then you've got to work more than one job. How could we have created more part-time jobs this year than full-time jobs, and people are satisfied or able to live on one part-time job?
Well, I don't think that people are satisfied by that, but I think to Tracy's point, you know, you've got Etsy, you've got Facebook now with stores and things like that. But I do think that there's this cultural shift away from materialism that's also affecting families as well. And people are actually cutting costs. So they're seeing that the revenue line, the top line, has actually been reduced. So they're trying to reduce the expense line as well. And I think that's happening. People are getting rid of the second car. They're getting rid of some assets.
And voluntarily?
Yes,
voluntarily.
Voluntarily.
No. That doesn't mean I tell you it's one word. It's one word. It's pride. When I was a kid, I was hustling because I wanted money. You know what I did every night when I came home? I counted that cash 10 times over and over because I had pride. I worked my butt off, and I had that cash. I wasn't asking anybody else for money. We were losing that pride.
Yeah, the problem is that there just aren't the jobs out there. People do have cars. Matter of fact, car sales were up 9% year over year. We're trending towards 17.5 million cars.
Well, your point earlier. It's to Charles's point earlier. We're supposed to, like, you know, go home and be with your family as opposed to.
I think people would make money.
My mother worked everybody worked around the clock. We never saw each other back then, and now all of a sudden that's evil.
So let's shift gears a little bit, because when I built my company's website, right back in the day, I spent an absolute fortune. I'm almost embarrassed to say how much I spent on fiber optics, all these specialists that were in my office. It was definitely in the six figures, right? Today, you can start a business, a website certainly, for a couple of grand. And yet, what's the deal? I mean, come on. If someone, you've got 10 grand, you could start a great business. You could be an entrepreneur. So I want to get back to that because historically, guys, this is the dangerous part about this. New companies create 3 million jobs annually. The big companies typically lay off 1 million. So if net job startups are half of what they used to be, that is a scary, scary thing. He said, you teach all these kids. Do they want to be entrepreneurs? Do they talk about owning a business?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I teach a class called Social Commerce. We talk about how you can make money off of social media and combining that with retailers. So yes, absolutely. And as I mentioned before, 70% of my class are from different countries. The problem is number one, getting the capital, which some of these students have because
they can afford your class. They can start a website.
Exactly, but really, it's also work visas coming into this country. All they want to do is stay in this country and make money. And the entrepreneurial spirit is there. They have the capital. They just can't
Let's
stay
talk about
here.
Americans, though, not people coming in. Americans. There are a couple of reasons. Obamacare, number one. If you're starting a business, start hiring people. Obamacare. Regulation. The lack of knowledge of how to start a business. How many times you talk to people and say, I had this great idea, I just don't know how to do it. You know what? It takes a lot of work to research how to get going, but you have to do that.
I'm going to say one thing to Dani, because you'll go last, but before we go to you, I think what you're talking about was a knee-jerk reaction to the Great Recession. As the economy gets better, I think people are not going back on cars. They're trying to add cars. They want more. People are starting to want the materialistic things again in life. We just had a consumer credit number out right around 330. That was the biggest number since 2001. But they don't want to work for it the way they used to.
I don't know who you're hanging out with, okay? Because
I'm not at the commune. You got to invite me to the commune. I'll wear flip-flops. I'll wear some khakis.
Women, for example, okay? So let's look at the picture on women in business or women-owned businesses. There's 8.6 million women-owned businesses in America making $1.3 trillion in revenue. Women start businesses 2 times more than men.
All right, let's leave it there. The men are letting us down.